Yeah.
Okay, great. So it says, we are sure God wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. We cannot subscribe to the belief that this life is a vale of tears, though it once was just that for many of us. But it's clear that we made our own misery. God didn't do it. Avoid then the deliberate manufacture of misery, but if trouble comes, cheerfully capitalize it as an opportunity to demonstrate his omnipotence. And that's it, Paul. I've heard you share on this before. It's awesome, man. And I'm going to
Oh,
send it back over to you.
have I? Oh, all right. Uh, thanks everybody. We come here twice a week uh to represent and to gather on a platform based on a statement on page 64 of the book, which we believe targets the exact nature of the wrong. As it says, it's very important for us to get to the exact nature of the wrong and through recognizing the causes and conditions. So everyone here has heard it many times, so I'll just say it again. 64 about the third paragraph, being convinced, self, manifested in various ways, is what has defeated us. So there's two things in that sentence. There's self and us. We're cast as the defeated, and self is cast as the defeater. Never the twain shall meet, so to speak. Yes? If we're convinced that self is what has defeated us through its manifestations, we will now look at some of its common manifestations. So they pick three out: resentment, fear, and harms done to others in the pursuit of what you want. So you can see the selfishness, the self-seeking, and the frightened, afraid of afraid of losing what you got and not getting what you want. This constant slinky of anxiety promoting more anxiety and then more anxiety. That irritable restlessness and discontent becomes like the sirens of Ulysses, so to speak. No one can hear it, but you sure can. And we basically are driven by an urge to get some relief. And the misunderstanding about the relief is reinforcing the problem, so to speak. This is my feeling. So I think the exact nature of the wrong is that it's foreign to us. Yeah. It's not even a thing, it's a mental activity. It says the mental activity states that you already are a thing. But the mental activity where the problem resides is constantly in the act of being identified as self, or as another book puts it, the brain interprets to the body of which it is a part. Very important. And it says in this thing called the Course of Miracles, after it makes that statement, it says, this you should know. Yeah? Yes. So it has a great importance. So this is the platform, and then we go over things in the book and stuff. Not here to change anything, just to bring a new perspective to the solution based on a clarity about the problem. Yeah. So I think the solution is going to be clarified when the problem is clarified. Yeah. So I'll read a little what we did. Now, we are sure God wants us to be happy, joyous, and free. I don't know about that, really. Yeah. It's a nice thing to say, but who knows what God wants or doesn't want. I'm just so we cannot subscribe to the belief that this life is a vale of tears. Yeah, because this is the part of a seemingly hopeless state of mind and body being a hopeless state of mind and body. When it reaches a hopeless state of mind and body, it has us by the balls, so to speak. Yes. And then at that point, the mental logic has connected to itself, and it makes perfect sense. I'm never going to be free from this, so I should just get loaded, And it's like an imaginary, like, bonding thing, and that's its last link, is when it's a hopeless state of mind and body. Yeah, but it isn't, is a seemingly, so it's appearing to be to us, which is a trick of perception, yes? And they talk about it a lot in AA. This is a disease of perception and all this. Yeah, we see things out of proportion, and we see things as what they're not. Yeah. And so it goes. So here it goes, we cannot subscribe to the belief that this life is a vale of tears, though it once was just that for many of us. But it is clear that we made our own misery. Now, I don't believe that. I don't believe we make our own misery. It's funny that you would make your own misery, but you don't make your own joy. That seems weird, that logic, yes? If I'm making all the bad shit up, I should be making the good shit up, don't you think? Just seems weird to me. So we made our own misery, but everything that happens is going to be the grace of God to us after. No, I think something was driving us that was foreign to us, and it manufactured misery through us. We have the factory, we are the factory where a lot of things can be manufactured in this life. Yeah, joy, companionship, service, and misery. And it basically is dependent on who's running the factory. Yeah. The old employer uses the factory that we are to produce misery. And every time it produces misery, it's stamped "Made in Paul." Yes. It's unbelievable. Yet we can easily turn on a dime once we get into recovery and see that something else is doing for us what we couldn't do for ourselves. Why don't we apply that same vision to the problem? Something did through us what we would never do to ourselves. Yeah. Why can't we make that? It's not a huge leap, can it? Yeah. It seems to me if you follow a different logic than the mental one, it makes a lot more sense. If if I'm not the doer of all this bounty and grace, well, I wasn't doer of all that hellishness and misery. Yeah, it can't be one and then not the other. So I believe that that which took us over manufactured misery through us. That's my humble belief, and I'm solid in that. Yeah, through my own experience, strength, and hope. Yes. So if we're driven, we must have been driven all our life. When did we suddenly start getting driven? Yeah, I think we're always driven, either by love or this, whatever you want to call it, but like winds that would blow a sail and move the boat. Yeah. When does the boat be the mover of the boat? Yeah. When does it become the one who's driving the boat? It's driven by winds. We were driven by 100 forms of this shit. Yeah. And we're driven by the beautiful forms of gratitude, grace, able to enjoy peace of mind, feeling a new power flow in. Instead of being consciously present to this idea of self, we're now present to the idea of consciousness. Yes. So I'm not a believer in that statement. We made our own misery. God didn't do it. No, but something that was playing God did. Yeah. God didn't do it, but something that was playing God did. Yeah. It was playing the same role in sort of like in a bizarro other universe where something was coming through us, fucking destroying our life. And all the while we kept seeing it as us. Yeah. Then we go to the opposite and we get recovery, and we very clearly, intimately know that something has done for us and is doing for us what we can't do for ourselves. But that new clarity can't be given to before. Yeah. We got the same old idea that we were the doer of all that shit. Have you done most of the shit you did out there since you've been sober? Probably not. I have not gotten on all fours on a rug and I look for cocaine. I haven't. Maybe my keys. Yeah. But no, not cocaine. Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ. The stubbornness of this false belief that I'm the doer of everything is killing us. It keeps us open to the defeat of self. Yeah. I'm under the weather a little bit, but imagine this, that all those things that happened while you were out there running around crazy, to keep being held hostage by the past and you're 40 years sober. When does, even if you want to be the doer of it, isn't there the thing in the judicial system, it goes so far, you're forgiven. You won't get arrested for that thing. Yeah. It's got a certain level of, you can only be uh, punished for 5 years. If it goes on that long, yeah. Where is that kind of forgiveness in our life? Some people right this morning, in 40 years of sobriety, are going over fucking something that happened 41 years ago. I think I see that as off. I'm not into, I just don't, yeah. How can an arm reach that far from the past and grab us today? How? There must be a strong belief in something that has us keep going over everything we did while under the influence, under the banner that I did it all. I mean, that is fucking old. Yeah. So if you described how it felt some of those nights, it sure didn't feel like I was driving the bus. Yeah. I usually found myself under the bus most of the time. So God didn't do it. Avoid then the deliberate manufacture of misery. Yes. And it's not your deliberate manufacture of misery. It's self's deliberate manufacture of misery. Avoid then the deliberate manufacture of misery. So something's still manufacturing misery, but we can avoid it. Yeah. It doesn't say stop manufacturing misery. I don't read that sentence that way. It says avoid then the deliberate manufacture of misery. Yeah. I can see the conveyor belt with the crazy old employer making some fucking weird cup. And now I see it, it's not me. And that cup never gets into production. It doesn't get spread everywhere. Yeah. I'm not beholden to that cup. So I am avoiding the deliberate manufacture of misery. How am I doing that? Having a new employer. Yes, the higher power. Turning my factory, my will, and my life over to the care of that higher power and ask it to run out my life for it. Because obviously the old employer sucked. Yeah, of course, unfortunately with this, it's almost like a weird nepotism. Somehow you're identified as the old employer. So while you're on the new job, you keep listening to the old employer. Well, so And then here it goes. Avoid then the deliberate manufacture of misery. But if trouble comes, cheerfully capitalize it as an opportunity to demonstrate his omnipotence. Yeah, that could be the encapsulation of step 6 and 7. Yeah. We bring the old shit and we turn it over, and then it's made into something else that ain't shit. Yeah. It's going through one bank to another bank. There's like a bank transfer. It's not being transferred to you. It's being transferred to the higher power. Yeah. The lower power can't stop the higher power from taking it back. So it yaps and yaps and yaps, but it's powerless. It doesn't have any power. So you're in a new process of, it's like having $1 million of Nepali money in the United States, which is, it's worth nothing. Yeah. So we're in a new basis, a new attitude, and a new outlook. We're living a new currency, really. Yes. Yeah. We're just here to support freedom from the bondage of self. Yeah. Do you think how it would happen is more important than it happening? I don't think so. I don't care how it happens. What's important to me is the freedom from the bondage of self. Yeah. We're not saying this or that you have to do. We're just throwing an idea out. Yeah. It has nothing to do with changing the program. What it has to do is seeing it in a different light, a clarity with the problem that's going to really reinforce the incredible possibility of the solution. Really. Yeah. It is an opportunity to demonstrate his omnipotence. Now, this is funny. The next thing is now about health. And I got taken over by something on Saturday that's a nasty fucker. And I feel like shit as a body. Uh, uh, yeah. Mm. All right. Well, thank you for this, John, from Florida.
Thanks, Paul. Sorry you're under the weather, man. It's a great share.
It's okay.
Yeah,
I'm under some really beautiful weather right now.
there you
So,
go. Here
yeah.
too, man. Yeah. Yeah, the action figure came down with COVID a couple weeks ago. And I looked at it from, the perspective you teach is that, I don't have COVID.
No.
The body does. And it really helped, man. I mean, and I got past it fairly quickly and without
Yeah.
any deliberate manufacture of misery, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? It was just, yeah, you just accept it as what happened to the action figure. And yeah, like you say, you don't make mountains out of molehills anymore, man. There is no mountain. That's a really powerful statement, man. You were talking about events and things happening, and I got to it just came to my mind that first there is no event, right?
Yeah.
And that perspective, man, is very, very freeing, man. Yeah, it just keeps you in the pause,
Yes.
and until finally you you buy into an event or something that can fuck you up. But yeah, but to stay in that perspective is very healthy, a very healthy state of recovery, and yeah, I like that, man. I appreciate your message, man, because it's very powerful, and I'm spreading it all over Titusville here, man. I got sponsees that are starting to understand and look from the same perspective, and they're staying sober, man. Some of them are over a year now,
Oh,
and they came in crawling. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
and through the step work and as accurate as I can describe the exact nature of the wrong. They're starting to see, that they're not in a funk. It's in a funk. And they've been saying it too, man. It just blows my mind, man. I really thank you for what you put out there, and I think there's a whole lot more people that are benefited from this than maybe you'll ever know. And it's just going to keep growing too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Great,
Thank
bro.
you,
Yeah.
thank you, man.
It's best I don't know that, actually, probably.
Yeah, probably. I understand. If you got anybody has a share or a question for Paul, or you'd like to chime in, go to your bottom task bar and go to your reactions bar and click on it and use the raise hand feature. I'll call on you and invite you in. So far, no hands, Paul, but that could change.
That's a good sign.
Wait a minute, we got one. Linton, come on in, buddy.
Thanks, John. Hey, Paul. Thanks for showing up when you're feeling shitty. That's really appreciated. And yeah, I loved what you shared, because like you were saying there, my immediate kind of reaction reading this was the bit that jumped out as the same. We made our own misery. And there's certain bits in the book where, I think there's another bit that talks about all our troubles of our own making. And it feels like the credit is out of sync, all the shit that happens, my fault, I did it. All the good stuff, God did.
Yes.
And sometimes that seems out of balance, and I've always kind of struggled with it a bit. But when you take it from the position that it's, self, not us, then the whole perspective shifts, because being driven by self, all our troubles are of self's making, of identification with self.
Yes.
That takes a whole different shift on the whole thing. Then it's being, and like you were saying, my experience is that I've been driven by many, many forces, and I've done a lot of shit that I would not do in my right mind, and it's much easier for me to shift the emphasis and to be able to shift from being driven by one force, being driven by another force, than suddenly to switch from actually all this shit was my doing, I did it myself, and now I've got to switch and somebody else is going to do it for me. But when I can see the whole operation, the whole mechanism at work, that one force was driving me, and another force can drive me, and that's such a powerful thing, because it unlocks the whole mystery, doesn't it? It's like you just let the whole deck of cards fall open once you can see through that.
Yes. I couldn't have said it better. Very nice. Yes. Yes, exactly like that. That's why we do amends and stuff. In a lot of reasons, but one of the reasons why is to sort of, it makes a mark where from this point on, we're going to be relying on the higher power. Yes. And so we cleaned up the past, all the shit where the dog of self took the shit on the lawn and everything. We did that. We were accountable. And I'm not going to be fooled again, the new boss is the same as the old boss when it comes into the head. Yeah. So you just recognize stuff. And that's one of the great joys, is the recognition will be right where you are. Yeah. It's not going to be someone else's book. It's a recognition of right where you are. You have been freed from something. Yes. You have been relieved of a bondage of self. It's intimate. And then the understanding sort of fits with that movement. It's not the thing that, oh yeah, I was the source of all the shit and now God's the source of everything, all the good. Obviously, that doesn't make sense. Yeah. So this is like, render unto Caesar's what Caesar's, and so forth. But we've been taking all of what was Caesar's, yeah, and tithing and having to pay tax on that shit for years and years and years. So, yeah, I just had enough of that, really. It says, don't shut the door on the past. And what was the other thing?
Don't regret.
Yeah. So the regret's over. See, where would regret find an incredible fertile soil to grow in you being the doer of it all? Obviously, it would produce a lot of regret on all those terrible things you did. We're being freed from that fucking weight. Yes? You did not do it. You were driven. That's completely different. And like you said, now I'm going to go through a giant reclamation of this bad character with that specter always hanging over our heads, and then I'm going to have to rely on this good character. But it's always going to be the battle of me against the good character. No, it ain't. It's a lower power and a higher power. Yeah, it's an old employer and a new employer. You are what's being employed. You've been used by self, and now you're being used by something other than self. Yeah, so this idea of the doership is so seared into us, into the head, because it's its whole story about life. Whose life would it be anyway if it wasn't you doing it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that camouflage, a lot of shit can grow. A lot of shit can grow, and every time you meet that shit, you're going to call it you. That's the bondage of self. Yeah, and the third step is like, please relieve us of this bondage of self, or in this case, it says, avoid
An opportunity to
the
demonstrate.
deliberate manufacture of misery. Yes.
Yeah.
So avoiding the deliberate manufacturing of misery is being relieved of the bondage of self, because self is manufacturing the misery. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's fun, isn't it? Because that last little sentence almost brings it back to it not being anything to do with us, where it says, if trouble comes, cheerfully capitalize it as an opportunity to demonstrate his omnipotence. It's like, if it comes, you see that's not me, that's trouble coming, it's passing through. And the being able to see through the identification of that being my trouble, my creation,
Yes,
is the demonstration of the omnipotence, the infinite.
exactly. So this is what always used to amaze me. We come very easily, many of us can be grateful for something that's doing for us what we can't do for ourselves. But for the fucking life of us, we can't apply the same thing to the older employer who did a lot of shit through us we would never have done by ourselves. I just don't see, I understand why, how that blindness is produced, but I mean, you can point at it over and over and over again. Yeah. And yet, for many, it keeps happening. This is the bondage of self. It's a difficult one. Yeah, yeah.
And the language can be confusing, can't it? Because there's certain places where it's clear that the self is separate,
Yeah.
self is what defeated us. But here it's re-identifying again, that we made our own misery. There's no separation there. It's right back on us. Shit, I did that,
Well,
me.
this is what happens, because the solution, after sometimes it's presented, is bookended with the problem.
Yeah.
And so this is what has us going, oh, everything's great, but I'm still fucked up. Yeah. Because there's still an allegiance to the problem.
Yeah.
Really is. So and it came through the book. And then the people reacted with the old idea. Came through the book that self is what has defeated us, and then it's you manufacturing the misery.
Yeah.
Because it's incredibly stubborn. I could go into it. We do it on the other meetings about self, this idea of self. It's amazing because we're in the act of being identified as self. So when we try to get out of anything self has made, we're handcuffed to the ownership of the ship. Yeah. So when
Yeah.
this is what they've realized, when many, many people must have observed in recovery that self can't get out of self, because that's exactly what was happening in their life. The thing that they would like to be free from was searching for the freedom. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane. So, but I believe if you can hear an understanding, it's going to allow you to see something that you can't see maybe without the glasses of understanding. Yeah. It's really trippy. I'm hearing everything inside my head also. My sinuses are like a Radio City music hall. The acoustics are great. I'm hearing everything playing. It's wild. Wow. The left nostril is playing a song, and I hear the bass inside my head. Is this me? No. Hallelujah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, Paula. Kathleen from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Come on in, Kathleen.
Hi, John. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you
man.
for your reading. Thank you for your share. It was beautiful. My sentiments exactly. Paul, I just wanted to ask you if you remembered to try that salve I brought for put on your
Yes.
chest and the bottom of your feet.
I used it yesterday.
Okay.
I didn't put it on the bottom of my feet though.
Well, that would probably be at bedtime.
I will. Yeah, I would be sliding around in the shoes.
Yeah, I would just have Amelia put that on when you lay down for the last time at night.
Don't say for the last time, honey.
At night, just for the sleep time.
That's what I was feeling yesterday. It was my last time.
Oh, none of us want that. That's a very sad thought.
It wouldn't be so bad.
No, not for you. It's we that are left behind, Paul.
Oh yeah.
So
You're
I
doing
just wanted
fine.
I just wanted to say thank you again. Thank you to everybody here. Thank you to Zenvich Slap Fellowship. Thank you for everything.
Thank
I
you,
just have
honey.
nothing but gratitude. I go through my days full of gratitude. It's overflowing. I hope it overflows into love into people I encounter. I don't know. I do the best I can, but it's all because there is no mountain.
Fantastic, honey. Yes, yeah. That's the best joy of sharing it, is to see it being received. It's pretty cool. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Kathleen. I don't see any more hands, Paul.
Well, if we could end early today, it would probably be helpful to me. So
Yeah, it's up to you. 10-4, buddy.
I gotta I've lost everything, the phone and the car keys yesterday. We're gonna have to search. It was like it's been a hallucinatory trip. It's been incredible. Last night I was hearing like young children crying like in a corner, audio. It was wild. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm having a free LSD trip without the LSD.
Right.
Brought to me by my sinuses. Wow. Yeah, that's a trip. So yeah, I'm gonna just try to hallucinate my way through the day today, and I'll see some people at 4:30. Thank you for letting me go early. I'm gonna chill out a little. All right. Let me say goodbye. Kathleen, as always, you're like a rock of Gibraltar. I always like to get washed ashore there. Yes, very good. John, Florida, very nice share, John. Yes. It's sort of like your description of it was like the feeling, it was the peanut butter I was selling. Yeah, so I like that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Michael Stacy, as always, Mickey. Linton in the Isle of Jura, very nice share also. Yes, this discrepancy between, it's a very strong imbalance. Yeah, because we have the ability to recognize something is doing through us what we can't do for ourselves. But it's not, that ability has been blocked off by the problem, yeah, that's what a parasitical movement does. It keeps a lot of knowledge away from the host because it doesn't want the host to get an idea that the parasite's not the host, yeah. That's like, yeah. All right, so let's see, we have Joseph in France, Laurie, Kathy, Tom, Jess. Nice to see you, Jess. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mar-
nice to see you too. Thanks.
Yeah, very nice. I'll say hello to Amelia for you. Terry, Maral, nice to see you again. I missed this guy. Let me see if I can move him. No, I can't. I'll get back. Walter, Terry in Maine. Nice to see you, Terry and Walter in Netherlands. Roman, Oliver, Martin, Darren, Danny, Axel. Let's see. Miss Volkman, Lebowski, Rob S., Steve in San Diego. Steve, I'm gonna send you some new information for a talk.
Yeah, I was
Barry.
asked about your East Coast trip as well. So
What I put it, did I send you some of it?
you sent me something, I think, about something next week.
No. I sent you some stuff for Dover. I'll send it to you today.
Yeah, you might have already done it. For special events, I need to get trained in how to add something. So I'm in email exchange with Mike.
All right, that's great. Thanks.
Sure.
Thank you for the service too.
You're welcome. Glad to help.
Lindy, nice to see you. Rob asked 2 phone numbers. Malcolm dropped in. Mike M, Lucia, Amy's 2 something number, I guess. Hey, thank you. I'll see you soon. I'll be here today at 4:30. Hopefully,
Thanks, Paul.
yeah, Pacific time. All right, bye-bye, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Paul.
Paul.
Thanks, Paul. Good to see you.